morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Okay, hope you guys are well and all is going fantastically smoothly and you're staying safe and getting through it. Life for us hasn't really changed much. I did get to go to a pub on Sunday, my local, for a wonderful roast dinner and some beers and some wine, and it was absolutely beautiful. I had a great time. So that kind of addresses everything and makes everything well in the world with me. Only joking. We did actually go out and it was a fantastic day. Weather update. I know you can't wait for this bit. It's cold, grey, foggy, and it's a real winter's morning, and it's lovely because it's actually dry. So all good there. Now today we're going to be talking about some new arrivals that have come all the way from Sweden. So last week there was a knock at the door and a big box arrived on my doorstep from the lovely guys at SweDoft. So as you can see, you know, these perfumes have been sent to me for the purposes of review, but obviously that doesn't really make any odds with me at all. Now, if you're a regular follower of us on Instagram, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Rasputin from SweDoft. I wear this all the time and I absolutely adore it. So I was really, really excited to get my nose on a couple of new ones. Now the first, ultimately what I wanted to do was do a review of both of these new ones that came at the same time, but it's not going to happen. The perfumes are too good for me to do that. There's too much to talk about, there's too much going on, and they're far too interesting to try and shoehorn them both into a short review. So I'm going to show you them both, but we're only going to focus on one review. So one that came is called Spice Surprise. This is a new one from SweDoft. This is beautiful. It's sort of inspired by basically a Roman drink of sort of honeyed wine and stuff like that. But this deserves a full review, and a full review will be coming. But the other one we're going to talk about, and I'm actually going to go on about a box for a change. So Matt in Box Shocker. So this is how the SweDoft boxes are. They're handmade wooden boxes with serial numbers on them and stuff like that. These are solid. And then when you open it, they have like a twine on them and a wax seal there that you have to break to get into them. And then when you open it up, you get your card with sort of a quality assurance and stuff like that telling you about it. And then you have your box. And this is beautiful. The bottle is lovely. It comes with its own little seal as well. It's just, I don't know, the presentation's amazing. They really, really punch well above their weight when it comes to presentation. But that brings us on to the bottle that was in it. And today we're going to be looking at, let's move that round, Bohemian. Now the bottle is the same as all of the bigger bottles from SweDoft. Very, very solid, beautiful cap, fantastic sprayers. Just awesome. So what we'll do, I've got a lot to talk about here. So what we'll do is I'll spray a bit of the perfume. We'll go through the notes. I'll tell you a bit about the background of the perfume. And then obviously, you know, I'll give you my thoughts on wearing it, how it smells, who's going to wear it, that kind of thing. So shall we get into it? Okay, the story for me with Bohemian starts way back in the summer. SweDoft had sent me some perfumes to review, and SweDoft JA, who's the main man at SweDoft, he sent me some samples of perfumes that hadn't gone into production yet. So he sent over a few for me to have a sniff of, just to basically try them out, give some feedback and my thoughts on them. And one of them was Bohemian, although at this stage Bohemian didn't actually have a name. Now when the samples came over, there were no notes at all. So SweDoft JA sort of said, just have a sniff of them, you know, see if you can work out what's in them and see what you think. And that's quite daunting because obviously you're completely blind, there's no guidance, there's no way of knowing anything. So I sprayed what became Bohemian and then I tried to break it down and work out what the notes were and stuff like that. And I went back, I got about 70% accuracy, I think I was told. So I did a pretty good job. But now SweDoft, or SweDoft JA, when he makes a perfume, he uses a lot of supporting notes, so it's very, very difficult to totally nail everything that's in the perfume. The simple fact that some of the supporting notes are only there very slightly or very briefly, so, you know, that although they're part of the perfume, they're there to enhance rather than to dominate a perfume, so they're quite slight. So I was very pleased with that. And the one thing was about the perfume, I thought it was amazing, and I was pretty much begging these guys to make sure that this went into production because it was an outstanding, the sample I was in love with. I thought it was amazing. It was a very bold, brave, and potent sample, and I thought it had, you know, I just love to see it in a bottle. So yeah, I fed back my feelings and opinions and stuff like that, and it was all very cordial, very nice. And then it kind of, you know, that was it really. I didn't hear too much about it, and then it's arrived out the blue. So they've gone ahead with it and they've made something quite exquisite. Now, there's a lot going on with Bohemian. It's a fantastic fragrance. I'll put that out there to start off with. This is awesome. I'm absolutely in love with it. I've only had it, what, about 5 or 6 days, and it's already one that I never want to be without. I really, really rate it that highly. And you'll find out why. Now, let's have a look at the notes to start off with. And then, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about how it performs. So at the top, you have Aquilaria Malicellensis, which is a type of oud. And then you have Davana oil, you have nutmeg, you have dried fruits, you have patchouli, you have cedarwood, you have leather, you have sandalwood, you have Java vetiver. And then the support notes, which are listed separately, we have smoky notes, we have incense, and we have white pepper. As you would expect, I'm wearing this already. I've just done the school run, and now I'm going to spray a little bit more for the purposes of the review, but not too much. Yeah, I think you'll know why. So here we go. Fantastic sprayer, as always with the SweDoft bottles. Now, wow, this has got to be one of the most potent openings of a perfume that I own. And it's one that's driven my wife mad. She's not a fan, but it's very, very oudy. And my wife doesn't like oud, so it was never going to be for her. But this particular type of oud is a very funky one. And this is why I was so impressed with this perfume. Well, one of the many reasons that I was so impressed with this perfume. Very, very few perfumes now, especially from a house that doesn't specialise in sort of more out there. You know, for some of the tiny little indie brands, yeah, SweDoft are becoming quite a big company now. So companies like that generally shy away from ouds like this, because what it does is it celebrates the more funky aspects of oud. You know, all the sort of the Barney parts of an oud are normally, you know, oud when it's used like this, they normally in sort of more mainstream perfume, they kind of sanitize it and take away all the funky aspects of it. And this, the funky aspects of the oud are really, really amped up, and it works amazingly well. It's beautiful, but it's going to be so polarizing. I mean, a little note from the house, if you give me a second, I'll read this out to you. This is what Siobhan J.A.'s put on SweDoft's website, and it says, sweet and punchy woody and abnormal. It's absolutely not for everyone. It's only for the Bohemian man. Don't judge it till it dries. And that's a really good thing to remember when you spray this, because the opening is so punchy. And it is going to really, really be divisive. People are going to love it or loathe it, because the oud is so dominant at this point of the perfume, and it's almost sour-like. You just get this, funky opening. But straight underneath it, there are dried fruits, which brings some sweetness to the sourness of the oud, and it just marries together quite well. So what you actually get very, very quickly is a kind of a sweet, funky oud, and it's beautiful. Then all the other notes start coming into it. You have the, you know, as I say, the dried fruits are quite prominent. There's a lot of wood in this fragrance. We have cedar and you have sandalwood, and that's kind of always there. Then it becomes, I mean, this is from this morning, and this is a lot, you know, I'm well into the dry down with this hand, and this is a dry, leathery, with a little bit of smoke. I think someone sort of thought it was like an ash, like I get more of a subtle smoke. And it's not a dusty one either, it's a genuine sort of a hint of smoke with the leather. But you get this transition from this really fruity, patchy kind of oud that has got woody nuances that then jogs across to this leathery dry down. The oud, it's funny because it's very, very prominent in the opening blast, really, really strong, but it never completely goes away. It doesn't just drop off. It's just absolutely divine. But because of the way that this is made, this is really, really, really going to be divisive. It's such a brave release from a house to put out a perfume that they know the minute they've put it out there, a lot of people are not going to like it. It's certainly not going to be for everyone, and I think that's what makes it so special, because it's just a beautiful, beautiful perfume. It's so well made. It's so smooth. The blending is phenomenal. When it transitions, which it does about 3 times, you have sort of three stages with this perfume. So you have this really fruity oud, and then it's a kind of a woody oud, and then it's a smoky leathery oud. It's always refined and it's always polished, but it's seamless in its flow. It's absolutely beautiful. It is divisive, and I know I keep saying that, but I've got to get this across to you. This is one that you will have to sample. You really, really have to sample. If you love funky oud, then you're going to be all over this. If you're a little bit unsure, sample it, please. Don't blind buy this. It is an expensive perfume. If you look on SweDoft's website, it's €216 for the 100 ml. So it's not a cheapie by any means, but obviously there are other perfumes out there in its class that are a lot more expensive. So I think it represents very good value. It's a very, very potent fragrance. It's an incredibly long lasting one. And the projection and sillage for the first couple of hours are absolutely massive. It really does fog out. And when I put it on Instagram when it arrived, I'd oversprayed it when it arrived, and my wife was going mad. She was like, I can smell it everywhere! She was not very pleased with it, so be careful with it. It's very, very potent. But I think it's just absolutely amazing. Now, what you've got to, I don't know, who's it going to be for? Well, because it's a perfume of contrasts, because of the oud and the woody nature and the smokiness and the ash, it comes across as a very organic perfume. It will... I don't know, because I've sort of researched it quite a lot. When I spray it and smell it, I'm kind of thinking of sort of steamy jungles and, you know, the sort of tropical environment that oud grows in. I'm instantly transported to that. But then if I turn my emotion button off and step back, it comes across as very polished. It would easily be sported by a very powerful chief exec in a polished boardroom environment. That would be a perfect environment for it. It also, it smells very worldly. It's a very exciting perfume. And this whole Bohemian tag works very, very well. This would equally be, you know, when COVID's out the way and you go traveling and you're back off your adventures around the world, I could easily imagine sort of sliding up to somebody, you know, really interesting character in a bar somewhere in like Thailand or something like that, and them smelling of this. It has that debonair, exciting, well-travelled, well-groomed, genuinely interesting person vibe about it. And I know this all sounds a bit wishy-washy and a bit chaotic, but when you smell it, you'll know exactly what I mean. It just paints such a wonderful picture of a bohemian, someone that's well-read, someone that's well-travelled, someone that's interesting, someone that's enchanting, someone whose company you enjoy. All of these things are coming from this perfume. And that's what makes it such a fascinating wear for me, because I'm none of them. But I think I just love the smell of it on me. And I love the way it makes me feel when I'm sort of going around my business. I've worn it to work, and admittedly I was working on my own outdoors, so you know it doesn't really matter what I'm wearing. But I just felt so empowered by it. It just somehow makes me feel, I don't know, just a little bit better. I love it. As I say, incredibly long-lasting, incredibly divisive, incredibly exciting. I'd love to say bravo to SweDoft for making a perfume they know from the second it leaves their site that a lot of people are not going to like it. But if you have any interest in oudy fragrances or woody fragrances, you're going to really, really enjoy this one. The woods in this are beautiful. The sandalwood and the cedar kind of compete just to give this wonderful base that all these other sort of splendid materials are kind of supported by. Fabulous, fabulous stuff. I cannot say enough good things about this, and I'm aware of that. And I love it. Now, as I said before, this has been sent to me, but if it hadn't been and I had to buy it, I would buy it in a flash. It's one that I just absolutely adore, and I want to have around me forever. So, there you have it, a very, very gushing review, and I do apologise about that. But every now and again, the perfume comes along and just blows your socks off. And this one has blown mine off, and I'm so, so happy to have it. And I hope you guys get to try it too, because it's something very, very special. So there you have it. That's my take on the wonderful Bohemian by SweDoft. A long-lasting, exciting, challenging perfume that I think is rather wonderful. Anyway guys, thank you very much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll be back to get the review of Spice Surprise done as soon as I possibly can. We've got a lot going on and a lot of videos to get out, so hopefully we'll try and catch up before the festive season is completely upon us and we get swamped and everyone's at home and it becomes very difficult for me to film. But there you have it. Anyway guys, I hope you're well, take care, and we will see you on the next video. Thanks very much, cheers and bye.